Hi, and welcome to Designed Resilience, the little corner of the internet where we talk about building daily habits and practices to help support you when things get challenging, when things get difficult, so that you can actually design your resilience. And I'm Rachel, and it's my pleasure to be with you today. Today, I want to talk to you about some active listening skills that fit really well under the pillar of community. The pillar of community in design resilience is about this idea of having a few very open and vulnerable relationships that you can rely on, that can help you talk things out. I know a lot of times as a woman, it helps me just to talk through a situation. I tend to come to my own conclusions and next steps and solutions, but I need a sounding board. And so I've developed some really important relationships with family and friends that can, first of all, understand when I need to vent versus when I want solutions versus when I just want to be emotional. And they're willing to ask me about that. And then I have learned how to be that for another person, and that's where active listening comes in. So, in my community, with those deep relationships that I've formed, when someone comes to me, I'll usually start with that question. Do you want solutions? Do you just want to be emotional? Do you need to vent and I should just really just sit here and not interject too much so that you can get all of your words out? Where do you need me to be? Because that changes the way that you listen to the person who's giving you their information. If someone is interested in solutions, my active listening is going to be a little different than if someone just needs to be emotional, or if they just want to vent and they just really would rather talk to me than maybe talk to a wall or some inanimate object. So I'll walk you through the way I approach active listening based on what the person in my community needs from me. So, in when the person who comes to me with a conversation and they want solutions, there's a basis of active listening that is true across the board. The first is that I'm going to relax my body. I'm going to quiet myself by finding a comfortable position to sit or lay in. So, whether I'm in person or on the phone or on the computer, if I know this is going to be a conversation that I really need to be present for because I'm serving my community in this way, then I will relax my body. I'll usually put both of my feet on the floor so I'm not fidgeting. When I cross my legs, one of them tends to fall asleep, so I put both my feet on the floor, and I'll either place my hands flat either on my lap or on a table, depending on how I'm organized. So that calms my body and gets me into kind of a position where I can focus. I'm also going to focus on my breathing because I know if someone is wanting solutions, then my emotional reaction or my triggers are not helpful. And so I'm going to calm my nervous system by breathing with my belly so that I'm not triggered and I can be an active and supportive listener to this person who wants solutions. Also, when you are breathing through your nose, you can't speak. And so that helps to calm the urge to interject and to jump in too early when you're actively listening to someone who needs to lay out their entire situation before you come to solutioning. If someone has a problem that they really want to think through and then work out, I might take notes because I don't need to ask my questions immediately and interrupt their train of thought. So I might have a notepad where I'm taking notes so that I can come back and ask questions. This is helpful at work too, not necessarily just in your personal community. When I also have the mindset going into active listening for someone who is interested in problem solving that this is their situation to solve and they will likely not solve it in the exact same way. So I'm approaching it with an open mindset. I'm not making decisions, I'm offering suggestions that my person that I'm talking to can take or leave. And that is why it's helpful to ask up front whether they want solutions, they want to be emotional, or they just want to vent, because that can create tension and it can create resentment in a relationship if you immediately assume that someone wants solutions and you begin to give your advice and really they just wanted to get it off their chest. And then they become kind of an ask hole where you feel like they're constantly coming to you for advice and support, but they're not taking any action, you can solve that problem in your community by asking up front if they do want solutions and they do want your input. So, relaxed body, calm my nervous system to reduce triggers, and breathing through my nose to help my parasympathetic nervous system, possibly taking notes if I don't want to interrupt the person while they're explaining their situation. Now, if someone just wants to be emotional, my active listening is a little different. So, when I have wanted to be heard from strictly an emotional place, the important thing for me was that the person validated my experience. So in the first, we're listening, we're thinking, we're dissecting, and we're offering solutions or possible next steps. When someone just wants to be emotional, all they want you to do is tell them that it's okay to feel the way that they feel. So things like, it'll get better, or don't worry about it, or you're overreacting. When someone just needs to be emotional, that's not helpful. Now, it doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean that it won't eventually get better. It doesn't mean that this is something that this person should really just let go of. All of that can still be true. But when they come to you and they want, I just need to express my emotion. I just need to be angry. I just need to be sad. I just need to feel betrayed. All of that, in that moment, all they want to do is be validated. So active listening means turning off your solutioning, turning off your shoulda, woulda, couldas, and being in that moment with that person in your community, validating that it's okay that they have the feelings they have, knowing that once that happens, they may be ready to solution. They may be ready to move on. So understanding the difference of where that person's coming from can help you be and listen to what they're saying in a much more prepared way so that you don't cause additional friction in the situation. And then if somebody just wants to vent, they have a very clear perspective of what's happening. They don't necessarily want to see it from a different perspective. They don't need ideas. They just feel like they're seeing the situation from the appropriate perspective and they want someone to tell about it. So if someone's going to vent, I actually kind of like this one better from an active listening perspective, because that's all I have to do. I just have to listen. I don't have to find comforting and validating words. I don't have to think about solutions and possible next steps. If somebody just wants to vent, all I have to do is be present, be calm, not get distracted, and listen. And you can learn so much about a person and their perspective and their situations when you're given the opportunity just to listen. So I actually like when someone needs to vent, because it moves the responsibility off of my shoulders, other than just to be an attentive and present person so that they can talk to. So across the span of being in community, when someone needs your attention, it can be helpful first to understand, do they want advice and next steps? Do they just need to be emotional and need you to be a safe place for them to express that emotion? Or do they just want to rant and they have a big long speech they've been preparing in their mind? They just need you to listen. Identifying that from the beginning can help you know how you need to be actively listening. If somebody wants solutions, don't start solving in the middle of their explanation. Wait until they're done. That's why it might be helpful to take notes. And then offer suggestions. You're not commanding their action. Offer suggestions that they can pick up or leave. But during the process, to help you be active and present in the listening when you're trying to provide solutions, relax your body, focus on your breathing. If you do get triggered, try to calm yourself, because sometimes things that upset your friends upset you. And I've often had to, for my friends who are very passionate about our relationship, kind of preface my conversation with, this is probably going to upset you because it upset me a lot, but I still need us to be able to think of next steps rationally. So if you could hold the big emotion so that we can problem solve, that would be great. Or when someone's going through something, I've asked, are we at the angry part yet? Like, are we angry yet, or are we still trying to negotiate what we're doing? That way I can be the right match for the energy that they need and the support that they need. If someone just needs to be emotional, I really, same kind of process, relax my body, focus on my breathing, try not to get triggered, and just meet them where they are. It may be physical touch, it may be words of affirmation, it may be distracting someone by taking them to a movie, but allowing them to have the space to be emotional and be a safe place that doesn't need them to be different, that doesn't need them to get over it, that doesn't need them to do anything but be that way in the moment, is an incredible support and builds trust and relationships over time in your community. And then if somebody just needs to vent, just a good opportunity to practice being relaxed and being present. They don't really want your input. They just need you as an audience. So learning how to do these different types of support in community can help reduce your stress, because first you're identifying what the expectation of you is in this conversation, so you know where you need to be from a head space and a body space. It also helps your friend feel accurately supported. And you may be surprised if you start to ask this question when somebody comes to you with something, they don't really know what they want. So giving them the space to think about it and to change paths in the middle. Maybe they start out and saying, yeah, I really want to solve this. And then you get into that conversation about, well, you could do this or you could do this. And like, you know what? I don't like that at all. I just want to vent. I don't want solutions right now. And that's okay. It just helps you communicate back and forth. And listening is such a critical part of communicating back and forth. Another piece that overarches kind of all of these three possible situations is sometimes allowing people's words to hang in the air. When someone says something that you hear as foundational to the conversation, as an epiphany, some new idea that they've just arrived at, or something that you feel like is heavy and important, just letting those words hang in the air can allow the person who's speaking them time to process. So that's a bit of a tip that I've learned as well. When they begin to unwind wherever they are and they say something that you're like, yeah, that is where my head is, and they say it themselves, just giving it a moment to breathe and letting it sit with them can help them to process further. So you might not even have to offer any solution or support. They may be able to get there on their own because you created a safe space for them. And you create that by creating a safe space for you, by setting expectations, calming your body, focusing on your breathing, and being aware of where you want to take the conversation. I hope this was helpful. It's something that served me very, very well, both in personal life and relationships and in business. If I listen more than I talk, I usually start out ahead of the game. And so I hope these active listening tips helped, and I will see you next week.